You know what time it is. The gyms are suddenly packed, everyone's buying a new journal, and your social media feed is just one big New Year, New Me party. We've all seen it, right? And hey, most of us have probably done it. But what if I told you that the very act of announcing your goals is actually setting you up to fail? Today, we're going to dive into this really cool concept called privacy intelligence and why keeping your resolutions to yourself might just be the smartest thing you do all year.
So, we've all heard the old advice, right? Share your goals. It creates accountability. You tell your friends you're going to run a marathon, and suddenly you have to do it because they're all watching. But this is what we're calling the resolution illusion. That common wisdom, it might actually be a massive psychological trap, and we're about to find out why. Okay, so you've basically got two paths you can take here. On one side, you've got the public declaration. This is all about getting your motivation from the outside world. You know, the likes, the comments, that you got this. It's like you're holding up a digital mirror, constantly checking to see if you look the part. Then you've got the other path, the private pursuit. This is totally different. It's about building your drive from the inside out. It doesn't need an audience because the reward, the real prize, comes from within.
So this brings us to a much smarter, more sophisticated strategy, just embracing privacy. I know, it sounds counterintuitive, but instead of shouting your goals from the rooftops, this approach is all about the immense power of just keeping your ambitions quiet. And look, it's not about being secretive, it's about being strategic.
And this entire strategy is built around this one core idea: privacy intelligence. So what the heck is it? Well, it's the principle that the less people know about what you're trying to do, the more power you actually hold. You get to control the story, you control the pressure, and ultimately, you have way more control over your own journey to success. It's a total game changer in how you think about goals.
So why? Why is sharing our goals so risky? Well, it all comes down to our own psychology and something we're going to call the validation trap. See, our brains are wired in a really specific way that can get easily tricked by a little bit of social approval, and this can absolutely tank our motivation. Okay, so there's this key psychological concept called self-verification theory. The moment you declare, "I'm going to be a runner," you create this deep urge to prove that new identity to everyone else. You start looking for them to see you as a runner. But here's the problem. All that energy you're spending on their perception, it's being drained away from your internal resolve. You know, the part of you that actually has to wake up early and go for a run?
And this right here, this is the trap in action. Let's walk through this premature reward cycle. Step 1, you announce your big, awesome goal. Step 2, you get that flood of likes, the comments, you can do it, so inspiring. Step 3, your brain gets a nice little hit of dopamine. It sees all that praise as a reward and it feels like you've already done something amazing. And that leads to the killer, step 4. Your actual internal motivation to do the hard work, it just plummets. Why? Because your brain feels like it already got the prize. So, this really all boils down to the two types of fuel you can use for your ambition. On one side, you've got intrinsic motivation. This stuff comes from inside, your own passion, your own satisfaction. This is the good stuff, the high-octane fuel that powers you for the long haul. On the other side, you've got extrinsic motivation. This comes from external praise. And as we've just seen, this kind of motivation is super fragile. I mean, what happens when the likes stop coming? Your drive can just disappear right along with them.
So if shouting your goals from the rooftops is a trap, what's the alternative? It's all about harnessing the power of scarcity. Think about it. Just like with gold or diamonds, when information about your goals is scarce, it becomes more valuable. And your eventual success, it becomes way, way more meaningful.
This quote just nails it, doesn't it? When you finally share your success, it carries real value. I mean, just think about the difference. Announcing you're going to do something feels kind of flimsy, but quietly putting in the work and then sharing the finished novel, the marathon medal, the final product, whoa, that has weight. That has impact. The success speaks for itself.
And the advantages of doing it this way are so real. First off, your success just lands with more punch. You also get to avoid all that unsolicited advice or premature judgment from people who, let's be honest, don't really get your vision. Sharing becomes this deliberate, special thing you only do with people you truly trust, like a mentor or a partner. People who give you real support, not just a cheap like. And maybe most importantly, it forces you to rely on yourself, which builds up that super important intrinsic self-worth.
When you really get down to it, this whole thing is about control. It's about taking the pen back into your own hand and becoming the only person who gets to write your story of success. You write it with actions first and words way, way later.
And this is the mindset we're all aiming for here. We want to achieve a state of low validation dependency.
That's a fancy way of saying you get to a place where your progress, your hard work, your achievements, they're real and meaningful to you whether a single person on the planet knows about it or not. Your sense of accomplishment doesn't need an audience to be real. It's yours.
So, as we wrap this up, I wanted to leave you with this one question to really think about. As you set out to achieve all the amazing things you're going to do this year, just ask yourself this. Whose validation do your goals really need? The answer? Well, it might just change everything for you.